Hi, before I start blathering on about a game I have done a play of, I just need to ask you something really twit. If you're a huge fan of Amiga Force's Warrior games and have clicked on this video looking for an in-depth review that compares and contrasts Warriors Orochi 4 against its predecessors, I'm afraid you've come to the wrong place. Out of the 50 plus games that fit within the Warriors template, I've only ever played 2 of them. Dynasty Warriors 8 Extreme Legends on the PS4 and Fire Emblem Warriors on the Switch. And as much as I loved both of those games, Dynasty Warriors 8 especially, the game responsible for hooking me into the addictive technical hack and slash gameplay loop the franchise is synonymous for, I'm probably not the best person to deliver an in-depth verdict on Amiga Force's latest entry to those who are fans of the series. Sorry. It's probably best you leave. So why bother, then, you might ask? Why bother even reviewing this game in the first place? Well, the thing is, I've had so much fun playing Warriors Orochi 4 this past weekend that I genuinely believe the game has a broader appeal than its fan service heavy concept may initially suggest. So if you've never played a Warriors game before, or have dipped a toe into its tooling late in the past but never really gotten your knees wet, the script is a mess, fuck me. You may as well stick around whilst I ramble about why I genuinely love this dumb game that relishes in its own excess. Warriors Orochi 4 is a crossover spin-off title developed by Amiga Force and published by Koei Tecmo for the PC, PS4, Xbox One and Switch that brings together characters and environments from both the Dynasty Warriors and Samurai Warriors series. Its storyline, if we can even call it that, is told over the course of 70 missions, plus some side stories, and sees a staggering 170 playable characters based on periods of Chinese and Japanese history join forces with one another in an alternate dimension in order to battle anime Zeus and his hot dan of Greek weebs. The game is stuffed to the brim with dialogue segments between characters that, while I suppose if you're heavily invested in the lore of both Dynasty and Samurai Warriors, is probably incredible, but if you're a layman like I am, it's just like, I don't care. What is this? It's nonsense? Although saying that, the concept of a crossover storyline featuring fictional and historical characters from both Chinese, Japanese and Greek history is a fascinating and wild combination. Bizarre. Luckily, gameplay is where the real heart of this experience lies, and Warriors Orochi 4 follows the classic hack and slash format that has remained largely unchanged, apart from that one, since Dynasty Warriors 2. Is it Dynasty or Dynasty? I've said it multiple ways this video alone. Dynasty? Dynasty? I'm just going to keep interchanging them so that I appeal to both sides. Players pit 3 characters at a time from the roster of 170, a Guinness World Record number of playable characters by the way, before entering a stage. Each level is a tightly designed battlefield consisting of claustrophobic natural corridors interspersed with wide open spaces, the whole environment covered with thousands of low-level enemy grunts for you to chew through. Stages aren't exactly sprawling, but they're substantial enough that traversing through them feels like a pleasant wee journey. Each level features multiple core objectives and 3 optional challenges, all of which usually involve traversing around the map in order to kill specific enemies, open gates for your forces to advance, or charging you with escorting a companion to a specific area. There's a surprising amount of variation between all 170 available characters, each one boasting a slightly different fighting style or weapon type, and although there is a definite overlap between a few of them, there's enough on offer here for it not to be too much of an issue. The dense pool of characters works to Orochi's benefit, with the game suggesting a fresh combination of 3 fighters for every new stage, ensuring proceedings never feel stale. In fact, to repeatedly play the same 3 characters almost feels like the wrong way of doing things. With 170 warriors to choose from, there's literally no reason to limit your options, especially when the game throws 5 or 6 new characters at you at the end of every level. It's mad. Look at all these fucking characters. Stop. Stop! Personal favourites of mine include this lass with a sword that's also a whip, this guy who uses a magic carpet as a weapon, and this woman who... Is that a lacrosse net and a ball? Christ. Each character is an overpowered killing machine, able to perform a variety of moves unique to them. These include basic attacks, powerful combos, tag team style moves that whip up enemies into a tornado, and a franchise staple Muso? Attacks that are as equally flashy as they are devastating. New to Warriors Orochi 4 is the Magic system, each character granted additional abilities linked to mythical weapons. By pressing R1, players can enhance their regular attacks with magic that allows them to do a bunch of silly things like surf on a wave, or shoot magical arrows, or turn into a massive flaming pit. When all bars are full, you can pull both triggers to perform a devastating magic move that sees all of your selected players towards a near apocalyptic event that decimates enemies within a wide radius. this. Warriors games happily grant their players an unprecedented amount of power, making it a pleasurable franchise to spend time with. The majority of enemies on screen at all times are largely harmless, and even the more powerful named units, appearing with the intention of offering a bit more of a challenge, don't exactly pose much of a threat. Bars that allow you to use special abilities fill up quickly, and with 3 characters to swap between, you're never far away from being responsible for murdering enough people with one flashy move to be tried as a war criminal. You see, in Warriors games, combat is almost a passive activity, bearing more in common with, let's say, swinging round New York in the recently released Spider-Man. It's a low effort, almost menial task that feels immensely satisfying. So instead of worrying about the actual killing, the game is more about slaughtering your way between objective martyrs, undertaking a careful balancing act that involves ensuring certain areas of the map are kept clear, allies are kept alive, and key enemies are pulverised into oblivion. For a game that appears so visually intense, Warriors Orochi 4 is surprisingly calming. A few years ago, I was inspired to take my first tentative steps into the world of Warriors after I heard IGN writer Joe Screbbles describe Dynasty Warriors 8 as a lovely little tidy-up. I can't for the life of me remember what podcast he was a guest on, and I'm absolutely paraphrasing him, but he was right. Video games, more often than not, present a player with a broken world in need of fixing. Quite often they'll try and hide it under the pretense that their world is dynamic and alive, that you are but one person in a vast interconnected living, breathing space, and your influence over it is limited. In most cases they succeed, the player happy to suspend their disbelief in order to fully immerse themselves within the fantasy. Dynasty Warriors doesn't try to hide anything. Instead, the game seems to say, here is a map that is covered in mess, go and clean it up, and that's it. It's as simple as that, a lovely long checklist of things to do with little resistance in the way of ticking them off. Combos are uncomplicated, special moves are performed with a press of usually one button. The screen is covered in numbers that tittle your lizard brain. You can fix this muddled, tangled, broken map of stuff. It's cathartic to do so. Easy, simple, nice, but most of all, fun. Also very, very fun. I'm aware that this video has slowly become a generalised appraisal of the Warriors franchise as a whole, and there's something to say about that though, I think, of how small a stride each iteration that holds the Warriors title really takes, how interchangeable a lot of them are from one another, spare a franchise-specific lick of paint or a new mechanic to toy around with. But that's not really a bad thing. Football fans buy FIFA each year, and shooting fans buy Call of Duty. Changes in newer installments of those games are largely superficial, with very little, if in fact anything done, to alter the core experiences that players find persistently captivating. And Warriors is the same. Its core feature set just works. It always has, and for the foreseeable future at least, ignoring this one, always will. Why change what isn't in any fundamental way broken? This is a very enjoyable video game in a franchise that, from my understanding, largely consists of other very good video games. I think, I might be wrong, I can't gauge how stary Warriors fans are, so I'm trying to skirt around making grand sweeping statements for fear that some dickhead dressed up like the samurai is gonna come round to my house and hit my head in. Anyway, let's get back to Warriors Orochi 4. Visually it looks a bit naff. Character models are nicely detailed, and slit animations make each warrior feel like they have their own distinct personality, but environments are fairly bare and lifeless, with none in particular sticking out as visually interesting. My personal favourites are based instead on their layouts and how their complex maze of corridors can affect the ebb and flow of a battle. The game runs smoothly for the most part, however it noticeably started to chug on my PS4 Classique when performing an ultimate special magic move on top of a huge group of enemies. It's fine though, it's nothing game-breaking. So do I recommend Warriors Orochi 4? Yeah, I do. It's a wonderful game, bursting at the seams with a rich cast of diverse characters to mess around with. Combat is simple but invigorating, visually exhilarating, and satisfyingly cathartic. It is a lovely little thing to unwind with. A delightful game that relishes in its own bizarre nature, with the sole purpose of ensuring the player has, above anything else, fun. Despite being aimed at long-time fans of the franchise, to the extent that the majority of its narrative may prove off-putting to newcomers, I still had a heap of fun playing it. If you have even a passing interest in the series, maybe this is a good title to jump on board with. Otherwise, go buy Dynasty Warriors 8, or Hyrule Warriors, or take your pick. You have the rare benefit of choice when it comes to this franchise. Warriors fans, if I'm wrong about any of this, please don't stab me with a big old rocket-powered drill gun, which I can only assume was a prevalent weapon in ancient China. What is this? I love this game.